All right, everybody. Welcome once again to the Tennessee Brando Show. Thank you guys so much for being with me on this Friday afternoon. I hope everyone has had a great week. It's been one hell of a week because we had the RNC all week long, and we had to watch that WWE style circus. And so, man, to anyone that had to sit through all of that, kudos to you. Because I did follow quite a bit of it. I did watch Trump's entire speech, and after it was over, I kind of felt like Bobby Kennedy. I thought a worm had got into my brain for sure. Um, Trump was supposed to start off his whole thing with nothing but unity and peace and love, and he started off pretty decent for the first 10 minutes. You was kind of seeing a little bit different of a Trump, and then he just went right back into his same old rhetoric, man, of just unhinged talking about, Hannibal Lecter and talking about how much Kim Jong-un missed him, talking about how much all the dictators loved him. He praised Viktor Orban. It was absolutely crazy. And so many people have messaged me to ask me what I thought about Hulk Hogan ripping off the shirt. The funny part about that, folks, is that I honestly predicted that. I was talking to my good friend Superman Todd, who was on the show last week, and I said, Todd, I really believe this moron is going to come out, do the wind up to the ear, and rip off his shirt. And sure enough, he did. So it was an absolute shit show. And man, I'm glad you guys are with me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now, this week's a very special show. I'm very happy to be bringing you this show because when I first started doing this, folks, I started off talking about the issues at hand because I felt like I couldn't be silent anymore, which is the same thing Hulk Hogan said last night. But I started talking for different reasons. I didn't start talking because Donald Trump was being held accountable and it hurt my feelings. I started talking because I felt like the issues at hand was more important than the things that I was doing. At the time, I've been a musician for over 25 years, and I was playing in dive bars and spending my weekends playing shows in front of audiences where the crowd sometimes was talking louder than I could even hear myself. And so I just decided, you know what? I want to start talking about the issues at hand because that's more important than me getting tipped to saying, take it easy by the Eagles again. The world doesn't have to hear that again. They've heard, if you want to hear take it easy, go check out the Eagles. They're great. So that's what I started doing. And then as the platform continued to get bigger and bigger, the one thing I started saying to myself was, okay, how can I now use this platform for the greater good? What can I do to help people? What can I do to bring people in? And so a few months ago, and I'm terrible with time, so if it's been 10 years ago, I apologize. But a couple of months ago, I met Tom from DAGGER Custom Apparel, and he created this awesome Stand with Ukraine sunflower t-shirt. Folks, this t-shirt is super comfortable, looks great, stands out, pops off the page. It's everything a t-shirt should be, but it's more than that because what Tom is doing with his sunflower project is he is raising money for an orphanage in Ukraine, and $10 from every shirt sold goes straight to that orphanage. So I'm going to have Tom come on here, and he's going to talk all about it. But if you haven't already, be sure to click on the link that is in the description of this video here on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, it's in the description there as well. Click on that link and go check it out. Check out this sunflower shirt. It would mean the world to me if you guys would buy one as well, because like I said, we want to do something for the greater good. And we're not up here hawking Bibles. We're not up here hawking god-awful sneakers. We're not up here, hawking trading cards. We're not going to put our heads on Rambo's body because our egos aren't that fragile. We don't have to do that. We're here to help people. And right now, democracy is on the line, not just in America, but around the globe. And that's what we're going to be here to talk about. So that's why I went ahead and gave a little bit of an intro before I brought Tom on. I wanted to get more people in the room, and we've already crossed over. We got 231 people. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you guys to Tom from DAGGER Custom Apparel.
How are you?
I'm doing great,
see you,
man.
Brando.
Hey, it's great to see you. I'm so glad you made it, man. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Now, how long ago has that been that you and I did the TikTok stream? It's been a while, ain't it?
Oh, it's been a few months.
Yeah, I thought so.
I got to say, from the beginning of this project, again, thank you for having me on, and to all of
Absolutely.
your subscribers, you guys rock. I got to say, man, when this was kind of cut from whole cloth, if there's a better analogy, this project, it was about, I'd say, good 5 months ago, maybe. All right, you and I, you saw the project. It was at its inception because of TikTok. And when we talked on the phone, man, it just really hit home because I was in a spot with the TikTok platform, not even realizing that I was going to get a follower. I went on with a grievance about January 6th, and I was just completely, I was fit to be tied. I gelled with you immediately because you're a blue dot, and you are. You and I are kin, man. I mean, I'm down here in good old Southwest Florida, and I'm a born and raised Floridian, so I see a certain zeitgeist down here, and I've lived in it. And it got depressing, especially on the second anniversary of January 6th. And as an old guy I'm very analog. I didn't know about TikTok so much. And I was like, oh, so there's a video, I can make a post. I knew this thing called the troll. I knew they were going to come after me. I'm like, well, I live around a bunch of, MAGA enthusiasts, and I'm kind of used to that. And so I made my grievance and didn't even invite anyone. I signed up for TikTok, and then the next day, my email was blown up. Your video was on fire, and I was like, "What the hell does this even mean?" And come to find out, I had like 1,000 followers on my page on that. That couple following days, and someone said to me, "You can go live." I'm like, "What's live?" So I am that analog. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I grew up. I'm the guy who watched Rambo and realized who the enemy was, not through a movie, but through the zeitgeist of our history books, that when we were in school, we knew who the number one enemy was, and we knew what communism was. We knew what fascism was. We knew because history, we had it in our books, and we went to civics class and we learned about the Constitution. We had to memorize the preamble, the 5 prerequisites. We had to get a good firm understanding of our country. And in our day and age, that Gen X day and age, it all evaporated, man. So being down here in this bubble of red, for me, as an artist and a progressive, it was difficult. So to have found so many awesome people on TikTok, to find people that were aligned with a pluralistic way of thinking, and that I wasn't stuck in a mayonnaise jar like I am down here. It's really, really a difficult thing to think that I live in such a beautiful area of the country, and it's filled with such hatred and bigotry and racism. And for me in my industry, you have to imagine being in the apparel graphics industry. I'm an airbrush artist. I've been painting for 15 years. It's my passion. I paint down at the beach before it got destroyed by Hurricane Ian. It was what I loved to do. And in the industry of apparel decorating, we are in the visual communications industry. It's one of the most powerful visual communications tools in the world. And, as an artist goes, I've always loved painting for people. I've loved being able to give something to someone that was special, something unique. And I've been able to paint for people from all over the world. I mean, it's been a blessing. But, after the hurricane, and, before that, 2 years ago, is when, Putin started his war crimes aggression against, Ukraine. And I knew Ukraine existed. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I'm not a huge, Russian and Ukrainian historian. But when I saw the interview, and I saw this little old lady having an interview about a soldier that told her and her family and her city to get out because we're going to bomb you to the ground, she walked up to the Russian soldier and handed sunflower seeds and put these in your pocket, so that when your rotting corpse grows sunflowers, we'll know where the Russians stood that tried to take our land. And at that moment, I was just completely overwhelmed with a sense of like patriotism by default for them, because I knew from my old Gen X days, what we were dealing with as far as an ex-KGB agent turned dictator that's basically ruled over that country and gaslit them for the last, 23 years? How long has he been in power,
Long, yeah.
And so, I saw, I guess, the writing on the wall from my own perspective. And as a graphic artist and as a painter, I'm like, oh my God, I got to make a tribute to Ukraine. I got to do a sunflower. And to long story, or to make it a little shorter, my mom, he has a good friend and colleague, James Williams, president-elect of Rotary International out of Punta Gorda, Florida. And he is no ordinary Rotarian. He is a senior member. He holds a chair in international affairs, and he works directly with Częstochowa, Poland. And I found out basically at the time about when Hurricane Ian hit, that this gentleman was immediately, jumped in to help the people of Ukraine. And he has been raising money ever since. And so I suppose the full circle kismet moment of TikTok for me as an analog guy that just was there to have a complaint about January 6th, I kind of realized, I as a t-shirt printer, I've got a brick and mortar. I've got the ability to print 400 shirts a day. I have the intellectual property right of a design that I created. I have the means and the machinery and the mechanism. I have the software. I have all the goods. And I have an opportunity because I'm not inherently wealthy. I'm not rich. So I'm like, what could I do? Well, I can take my industry and I can turn it into a weapon for paying it forward. Basically, with this design, having passed the test of public scrutiny, thank you for the compliment, by the way. I appreciate it. It's a simple, elegant design. It is built for a t-shirt because it's breathable. It's the mosaic of the sunflower, gives it that breathability. A simple message would stand with Ukraine, with the Ukrainian coat of arms. To me, it's the antithesis of the MAGA merch, that disgusting, hideous. I see it everywhere. I see, go Joe, what is it? Go Brandon or whatever. I mean, you see
yeah,
it.
I've definitely heard that
Okay. I mean, I see the F Joe Biden with, the letters written out of, AR-15s and guns, and the letters are literally, and it's just sickening to me, and I'm thinking, this shirt, and I just started peeling back all the layers on what this shirt really represents. Obviously, it stands for the people of Ukraine, but it's the pro-democracy shirt. It's the anti-MAGA shirt. It's the, can I use my fingers on this channel? I'm going to use these two thumbs instead of the middle ones. It's the anti-JD Vance. Okay. It's the anti-obvious 34 times convicted felon Trump. To me, when you hear someone like JD Vance talk about how he wishes that Ukraine would fall to a tyrant, we're seeing the writing on the wall. And I'm thinking, excuse me, how could the humble t-shirt be so powerful? Well, ultimately, it's down to one thing. If I had the power, which in my humble existence as a business, I'm in this industry, I'm deciding, well, I'm going to sell this shirt and I can either keep all the profits or I can give some away. But the secret sauce really, this whole thing synergized when my mom, being friends in college with James Williams, has this connection. And because he's working with Częstochowa, Poland, the City of Goodness is the largest orphanage in the entire country of Ukraine. And the Rotary International out of Częstochowa, Poland, I believe right close to the border of Ukraine, is in a direct pipeline funding the largest orphanage in the entire country. They have 5 different locations, throughout the country. Now, when my mom started, and when James Williams started giving the information to me through emails, and he started sending me photographs of, military people and, with medical supplies and things that were being purchased for the refugees, for the children. At the very beginning of this project, I didn't know it was for an orphanage. I just did not know the size and the scope of the actual program. And when I found out, when I got all that information, my eyes rolled in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, this is bigger than everyone. This needs to be in front of as many people as possible. So that's where the TikTok experience gave me, I guess, a little chutzpah. And I decided, I got to tell some people about this and ask them what they think. The feedback has been phenomenal. My friends that were, following me along on the page, when I met Mr. Brando, we talked about it, man, Brando just lit me up. And I knew that his busy schedule, I knew the things that were happening with him because I was following him prior to that. I didn't know that he knew I existed. And then he messaged me. He goes, man, I've been following you. Got great content. I'm like, what? I'm like, so I got to say, at that moment, I felt like I had arrived. All right. And so thank you for that. But we have built a friendship since. And since then, my friend, I've watched you build your channel with Midas Touch Media Network Group. And it has been a blessing to watch. You have been a true patriot, of the information that you give. And your even keeled temper is something I wish I had, man. I go full Irish and I get, I don't know. It's just hard for me to not, get salty, especially in my neck of the woods, but I appreciate you. But, full scope on this shirt real quick to end it up. I just want to let you know that $10 from every shirt on a $24 shirt. I want you guys to take that website, and I'm looking for this syndicate. Everyone, you guys, please go grab a shirt, because there is a real-time fundraising meter bar. And I need to make a point about something, that when you see fundraisers, you're going to see it most of the time. You will always see it, a company or a person, God bless them all. But when they say the words 100% of the proceeds goes to, what is a proceed? How much is the proceed?
Yeah.
So to me, that always left me with like a red flag moment. When I wrote this plan out, I'm like, to my mom, Mom, it's not going to be 100% of the proceeds. It's going to be $10 per shirt. She goes, that's a lot. I'm like, yeah. The reason why that's possible is because my business is built for speed. So as a contract printing style method, my idea is that, well, dang, if I can give $10 per shirt, I have to make up it on the other end by volume, but that's a double win. If we're in front of 230,000 fans of Mr. Tennessee Team Brando, if you catch my drift here, 10% of 230,000 with this t-shirt is $230,000 raised. That is a massive amount of money. And to finish the idea of this visual representation, when a Ukrainian soldier came to one of my live broadcasts on Sunday, and he told me, when there were others wearing this shirt in the box, he said, I cannot tell you how much it means to the Ukrainians to see an American supporting Ukraine, because of the vitriol, because he is worried about indifference. He's worried about complacency. He's worried about MAGA. And I think that this image, and that he was so inspired that we Americans were wearing that shirt, it just made me realize that my business is basically now in a position where it's going to be like, I'm like part of the Rebel Alliance. I'm down here deep in the, in the red, and I am a little blue dot. And I am looking for that allyship to stick and rally around one image, and that you can allow me to write checks on your behalf, allow my business to do the work, and we can do some amazing things for the people of Ukraine, the children of Ukraine. And that we should remember Vladimir Putin is an existential threat to democracy itself, that if Ukraine falls, Poland is next. The NATO alliance needs to stand strong. We need to make sure that Ukraine prevails at all costs. We cannot allow Putin to win, and we need to help in any way we can. My business, this is a way I can do it, but I can't do it without you. So I hope you take that link, make it yours, share it, dock it, buy the shirt more than once, but just know that that fundraising meter bar will crank out. I just wrote my first $4,000 check. I could not be happier to write a check. I can't tell you how much it means. I painted for people from all over the world. I love doing it. But when I wrote that check, I want it to be $500,000 to Ukraine. That's my goal. Making $1 million. Let's go.
Well, man, you're doing a fantastic job, and I think it's a very notable thing that you're doing. And I think it should be inspiring to everybody out there, for us to use our platforms for the greater good. Like you said, you started off on TikTok. We got similar stories in that sense. I actually think I saw that video you did on January 6th, the first one you did. That's the first one that came to across my radar. And I pretty much did the same thing, except I started off. I've been a musician for over 25 years, and I've been doing that forever, playing music and stuff. And then I just started off. A lot of us did start over on TikTok, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just an app for foolishness, honestly, because that's what, when I was first introduced to it, I just looked at it and said, "What is this?"
A dance contest.
Exactly. And then then we start looking into it, and we start realizing, hey, this is a place we can use our voices, and then things started exploding. But when they do, like I said at the start of this video, I just think that we need to zero in and focus on the greater good. And I've been watching the meter as we've been sitting here going, and I've seen several people in the comment section saying that they got their shirt. So if you just tuned in, if you're new here and you just tuned in, be sure to check out the link that's in the bio, and our moderator Jess is sharing it in the comment section as we speak.
Thank you.
So that way we'll make this thing rise on up, because we want to do something good.
Can I tell you what the number is right now on the fundraising meter bar? If you guys understand, this thing is real time. So if we can make a note of this right now, at 9:22, I'm gonna refresh this screen, and it is at what? Okay, so it just we're now at $5,260. I'll just go ahead and turn this around if I can. I don't have a thing. I hope you can see that, but it's at $5,260 right now. So you guys literally, you can imagine within just minutes, if it goes to a viral sensation, that's when we see that thing go through the roof, and I'm writing a check live.
I made a note when we started. I wanted to see where, and it just went to 270. But I did see. I love it. I did make a note. If I'm right here, I made a note that we were at 5170 when we started. So that's $100 already. So we're doing good. See, and yeah, for sure. And one thing, Tom, I definitely wanted to talk to you about. And like I said, you guys be sure to check out that link in the bio. If you're watching on YouTube, the link is in the bio of this video. If you're watching on Facebook, it's tagged above in the description. And also we're sharing it in the comment section, so you guys can find that. Go check it out. But one thing I wanted to talk to you about, Tom, is we're both blue dots now in this in our seas of red. You're down in Florida, I'm here in Tennessee. But over the years, we've had differing viewpoints. If you and I had have met, which I'd have been 10 years old, I'd have been a kid during the Gulf War, but still yet, no, I'm just there. Still yet, I'm sure you was telling me one time when I think we were on the live, you were talking about how that you were in favor. Was it of the first Iraq War? Have I got you correct on that one?
Was I in favor of the first Operation Desert Storm when they liberated Kuwait? I was for that.
Yeah, exactly. And the point I wanted to make is, over the years, I've talked to so many people, and I've actually had a lot of friends that that I used to argue with, and they were saying, "Hey, we need to go into the Middle East, and we need to install a democracy, and we need to get rid of a dictator." And I had that conversation with so many people, and now those very people are arguing with me, telling me that they're okay with Trump being a dictator on day one. They're okay if he terminates the Constitution. And so, the point I'm making is that over the years we probably all have been on different sides of the aisle, or had different beliefs or different stances at one time. But before this all started with Trump, the one thing I felt like we all did have in common, we might have all of our disagreements, all of our arguments, but the one thing that I felt like we all agreed on was democracy. I thought that's what we were all about. Like you was talking about earlier, growing up in the history classes and learning about the foundation of our country. I thought that's the one thing we all shared in common. And now it seems like we've lost sight of that. It seems like that we've got away from it. And for all the people out there that says things like, "Well, Trump's just joking when he says that he wants to be a dictator. He's just joking." Let's say that he is. Let's just give him that argument and say that he is. I still would argue that it's absolutely nothing to joke about. It's not one. It's something we should never joke about or take for granted. And so, like I said, the point is, this is a conversation I've wanted to have with other people, but I'm not able to because they've went over here in this land and accepted this guy. Right. But you and I may have disagreed in the past on different issues, but here we are today on the same side of the aisle because we care about democracy.
Let me say this: the president, as we know, has the most powerful office in the world. When he speaks, every word is scrutinized. Back in the day, when we're talking about diplomacy and we're talking about, being able to have differences of opinion and agree to disagree, I suppose, like the first video I made, January 6th, for all time in American history, is the destruction of the peaceful transfer of power. And that is something that we can never get back, nor can we get back, even if you want to go back to our downgrading of our AAA, all these things that are attributed to the Republican, what do you call it now? Because when Trump came to being, when he went down the escalator in 2016, he basically rewrote and bastardized and turned the Oval Office, or the pursuit of it, into a mockery. You saw it in the convention, if you could bear looking into the sun like he did. You saw Hulk Hogan making a mockery of it. You saw nothing but a movie version, some Orwellian nightmare version of the country that, when you and I are younger, we're a decade apart, fine, but let's just put it this way. Trickle-down economics, I was barely starting to understand it to not like it. Like, I was just old enough to start going, what is trickle-down economics? Oh, so the wealthy get it all, and they're just going to let it filter down so that we at the bottom can just work our way up through the top, right? No.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get a job that no one else wants because they want the job that, never mind.
Yeah.
Capitalism, owning your own business, doing your own thing. I see that. And that's where, I tend to fall in line with more of a, that's what they would say, the stereotypical Republican says, oh, small business, this and that. But it's ironic how quickly a Republican MAGA will trash my business because I want to help someone in Ukraine. And they want to help the homeless or the military. I'm like, how do you know I'm not? And why would you say that we're not able to do two things at once? Are you suggesting that this country can't do two things at once?
Exactly.
I mean,
they always love to throw those kind of things, and I'm sure the trolls will say things like that. Well, they'll always say things like, we could be using that money at home, things like that. But they're always the ones too that stands up in the way of us using that money at home. They're always the ones that will turn around and say, that if we have free health care, that'll lead to communism. If we have college education, that'll lead to communism. Everything will lead to communism somehow. But Putin taking Ukraine, they're okay with that. They're cool with it. It doesn't even make sense to me. I can't wrap my head around it. And I'm with you earlier when you said, that I'm not a historian. I don't know all the ins and outs of Ukraine and Russia and that whole thing. I don't. I consider myself a history buff, but that's one part that I've not really studied and dug into.
Right.
But I just know that you and I grew up in a time, and I know the people watching this grew up in a time when democracy mattered, and when, we might have disagreements on why we went into certain places, but we were all on the side of democracy. And one of the most chilling moments to me was in Biden's State of the Union address. I think it was one of the most humbling moments to me was when he was talking about the threat of democracy and being taken, and he was talking about Europe, he was talking about Russia and Ukraine, and then he said, "There's people right here in this room, that is on their side." And that was just one of those very chilling moments to me, where I was like, dang, it is something that's hit here. It's something that's happening here as well. And we have a whole group of people now that, like you said, have got so caught up in this WWE style of rhetoric, watching Hulk Hogan rip off his shirt and crap like that, that they've totally lost sight of what really matters. When Hogan came out there and did his whole speech, it kind of drove home all of the wrestling analogies I've made over the years, because
you like wrestling. I get it.
I do, yeah. But I've always saw the comparison between Trump and how he uses that type of rhetoric to get people worked up and feel like they're invested in a fight that ain't real.
It's a science, man.
It really is. And he has got these people worked into this frenzy fighting this fight. And when they say owning the libs, that's no different to me than a wrestling catchphrase.
No doubt.
No different than me than The Rock saying, I'm going to lay the smack down. It's kind of the same type of rhetoric that they engage in that has no substance. And I think that's why, like I said at the start of the show, we're trying to do something for the greater good here and have something with substance. So I just want to take a minute, and I want to thank everybody here in the comment section. I saw so many people that have already said they got their shirt. If you just tuned in or haven't already, be sure to go check out the link that is in the YouTube description. It's also in the description on Facebook. You go check out Dagger Stands with Ukraine, and you can see Tom's Stand with Ukraine shirt. 10 yeah, $10 from every shirt goes to help the children of Ukraine. So it's a really good thing, and I really appreciate everyone for being here. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, all of that thing, and share this video and get it out there. Let people know what's going on. A lot of times we will have good crowds here while we're going live, but then I've noticed it picks up afterwards because a lot of people watch us after the fact. People are in different time zones. And
I brought my drink.
Absolutely. And so we definitely will have more people that will roll in and see this later. And to those of you who will tune in later, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for sharing it and getting the word out there. But yeah, we're living in some crazy times, man. We really are. And I think as I've seen several people in the comment section talking about this. I've seen several people saying that Joe Biden is going to stay in the race, and he's pretty much been saying that the entire time. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions and mixed views on that, but what I'd like to say to people is that Donald Trump clearly, and if you don't believe me, just go watch the replay of the RNC. He clearly thrives on chaos. He is a person who absolutely thrives on chaos and thrives on division. And what he would love more than ever right now is for all of us to be divided and running around, completely lost. The more division he can drive on our side, the better off he'll be. So I feel like that to me, the election is bigger than Joe Biden. The election is about democracy. It's about the future of our country to me. And if Joe Biden is going to stick in this race and be the nominee, then I think people just needs to stop talking about it and get solidly behind him. Because the more you talk about it and the more that you when you do that, you don't realize you're driving that division that he wants so bad. And I'm not saying that anyone out there has to agree with me on everything. You're allowed to disagree. I'll still be your friend. It's okay. But I'm just saying the more we sow that division, the harder Trump is thriving off of that. And so this is about democracy. And I think that's what it's to me, the election it stopped being about Democrat versus Republican, left versus right a long time ago. And it's more about now, I feel like we're in a place where I feel like that if I vote for Joe Biden, he may be an older man. He may stutter. He may forget, what he's going to say from time to time. He may need a moment to think and gather his thoughts. But I'll wait on him any day of the week because I feel like that if I vote for him, I'll have a chance to vote another day. And I can't really feel that way going the opposite way. So, I saw that comment in the comment section a whole lot about, is he staying in? Is he not? He's been saying he's going to the entire time. As long as he's in there, I'm behind him. Whoever's on the Democratic ticket, I'm behind them because we can't let this slip away. It's too important. And I said to Tom, what Tom said to me, I always say in my videos, guys, keep your eye on the ball. And the other day, me and Tom were talking on the phone. He's like, Brando, I'm trying to keep my eye on the ball, but there's so much shit coming at us from every angle. And so, but we have to really try to.
Can I dovetail on something you said real quick?
Oh, absolutely. Go for it.
So it's binary decision. It's Trump or democracy. And when I just split that up and I said democracy versus Trump, there's no more Republican Party. It's about a man and democracy. So the choice isn't even really a choice. It's unfortunate that the Republican Party has separated themselves from the Venn diagram. If there's any shared overlap of belief to be an American within Democrat or Republican or whatever party you believe in, they have removed themselves from the equation of democracy with their actions and their words. And the way I'm thinking about it is the powerful people, the presidential nominees, aren't anything compared to the levers of power that we hold. We are the ones that are the powerful people. We have to be there on November 5th, And I think there is no question as to who you're going to vote for if you want to save this country. There is no question, no matter what President Joe Biden decides between now and the time when the nominees are supposed to come up. If he decides to step down, that's his decision. We should honor it. If he decides to stay in, we should honor it, but we shouldn't speculate. We shouldn't infight. We should remember that we are fighting literally for the foundation of our democracy right now. And I feel like with all this debate between whether or not he should step down, at the end of the day, we are all going to be going to that voting booth and we're going to be voting our conscience, and that's blue. And that's what I'm hoping. So we're the ones with the power.
I agree 100%. And I want to address something you said there about all the infighting. I totally understand that everybody's emotions running high, and I totally understand that everybody is worried. You know, we're all worried about what could happen in November. But I just want to remind folks, don't beat up your own. You know, don't beat up people who are on the same side. I saw several creators just get attacked for having a different viewpoint on that. And I've noticed, you know, that they've had a different viewpoint on it, but they've always said we're on the side of democracy. We're voting for Joe Biden one way or the other.
That's right.
It's okay. You know, we're all worried. I get it. We're all worried. Everyone's emotion is running high, but let's not beat up our own. Let's not jump on someone and unfollow them and throw away. You know, I saw Trey Crowder, the liberal redneck. I saw him get a lot of heat for saying that he felt like Biden should step aside. But in the same exact video, he said that he was voting for Joe Biden no matter what, and he would support him 100%. So that's no reason to throw the guy away, you know, just for that one viewpoint. We saw Hawk over on TikTok get the same kind of treatment, and it's like, okay, you know, I totally understand you have every right to disagree with them. I disagree with them,
right.
but I'm not going to throw them under the bus and do away with it. Because again, Trump absolutely thrives off that chaos, and I think he proved it to us at the RNC by having a chaotic event. I know the media too right now is spinning this like that. Oh, you know, it was great, and it was a unity, and he brought people together. They're zeroing in on a few clips where somebody said a few things that made some people feel warm and fuzzy inside, but they're not zeroing in on him talking about Hannibal Lecter and talking about how dictators praise him. They're not zeroing in on the governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice, coming out and saying, we need to be more unhinged if he loses. You know, it's like, that's the stuff that they're not zeroing in on. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, she comes out and she had to take her jab at transgender folks, had to find a way to get that jab in. But in a video I did earlier today, I pointed out that, you know, people were talking about how, well, they edited their speeches. They went in there and they pulled out some of the phrasing and the words. The RNC made sure they didn't say certain things. Okay, fine, I'll give you that. Let's say they did that. Let's go back to see what Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying before she took the stage. And when she was being interviewed off stage the day before she was up there talking, she was saying, there is no unity. We're never going to unify with Democrats. There's no such thing. Then when she gets up there in the moment, they may have edited those lines out of her speech when she got there, but she was saying it before. They'll be saying it after. And Tom, we still got a ways to go before the election happens. So, you know, Donald Trump is going to keep talking.
Oh,
you know that the Marjorie Taylor Greenes and the Matt Gaetzes of the world, they're not going to be able to shut up.
No.
So they've got plenty of time to screw up between now and then. And we've got plenty of material to use because they gave us this boatload of material. When you go back to the debate, everyone wants to talk about Joe Biden's performance. None of us has ever said it was great. No one has ever said, oh, he knocked it out of the park. But what did happen there is we was able to go back and look at that debate after the dust settled, and we was able to go, dang, you know, Trump is standing there lying his ass off. And Trump is giving us all this material that we can point out and say, hey, look what he said. Same thing with the RNC. They might be able to zero in on a couple of clips, you know, of Hulk Hogan ripping the shirt and stuff like that and say it was some sort of, you know, monumental event. But we have the material there to look at from now to November and say, nope, did you hear what they said? Did you hear their ideas?
That's right.
And, you know, JD Vance, he's the nominee. And JD Vance is someone who said he would let Ukraine fall. So that right there is that's a big enough reason right there for anyone to understand what we're up against come November. They picked the absolute. I mean, JD Vance, anytime he opens his mouth, is speaking straight out of Project 2025.
Absolutely.
He's basically reading you the Cliff Note version of it every time he talks. And so people needs to pay attention to that, and people needs to get on board with democracy, because now Trump, I've said this in a video today, JD Vance, whether you love him or hate him, Trump has gave him this rub now. He's in the political discussion. If Trump loses, JD Vance probably fade off into the sunset. If Trump was to win, he's next in line to be president of the United States and could be around for a long time. So it doesn't matter when people says, well, he's inexperienced, it doesn't matter if he's got the rub. It doesn't matter if he makes his way through the door. And what I would say to people who, says, well, MAGA has no substance and their ideas, and I would say this, their vote counts just the same as ours does. You can say all day long, well, they're stupid or they're ill-informed or misinformed, but a stupid vote counts the same as a smart vote. An uninformed vote counts the same as an informed vote. So,
on the other side of that coin, every troll that's ever really gone after me on TikTok, and of course they use the strong arm bully tactic, and they use the soft stochastic language that they try to use, that perfectly crafted word, but you know what they're saying to you. Yeah. I asked them, I said, so you think that, first, would you say those things to a 90-year-old woman?
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, do you think that 90-year-old woman's vote is any less powerful than yours?
Yeah.
So unlike what you said about them being able to vote, the idea that their notion of the strong arm bully is a presence of what real power is, and it's not. It's like that's the antithesis of the American dream. And I think walking softly and carrying a big stick is a great analogy through history, and we should keep that one in mind. But yeah, that's I had a thought, but it was kind of lost in that one. But it was if you don't mind continuing the train, but the JD Vance thing and Marjorie Taylor Greene, I have to say January 6th ruined it all. Okay, and I just keep on coming back to that. They've rewritten the script, and here's my point. This is where I was coming at. When the right, as of recent events with president and the ex-president and the assassination attempt, and that the idea that they're saying it's because of the Democrats and the radical left that they keep accusing Trump of being this and being that. Well, in 1933 in Germany, they didn't speak out against a particular leader named Hitler, and he was voted in. And so the premise that we speaking out against the fascists is the reason why it's happening is a load of crap. And
Absolutely.
we have to do what they didn't do in 1933 Germany. We have to stand up and we have to be vocal about it. You have to lean in on it. You have to call it out. You got, so that's my thought.
No, you're dead on it, man. And that's one thing that we've heard so much. They're gaslighting us, man. That's exactly what they're trying to do, and tell us that it's our fault for pointing it out. But what we're pointing out is that you had a guy who tried to overturn an election that he knew he lost deep down. You had a guy that incited a riot on the nation's capital before January 6th. I guarantee you most of MAGA didn't even realize what January 6th was. They didn't realize that was the day the vote got certified. The only reason they showed up, they literally thought that they could take a vacation day from work and drive up to D.C. and overthrow the government and come home. That's
a weekend warrior.
Yeah, they really what they thought. And it was so funny because at the time I was working in a place, and I never will forget this conversation. Leading up to that, this guy that I worked with told me, said, listen here, buddy. He said, if they don't give this thing back to Donald Trump, you're going to see a level of redneck in this country like you ain't never seen before. We're going to go up there and we're going to take it back. Well, he didn't actually go. But the funny thing is, when I came into work after January 6th, I was like, what in the hell was that? And the same guy said, well, that wasn't us, man. We didn't do that. That was Black Lives Matter.
Antifa.
And I'm like, really? I was like, well, that's funny because you were just saying it the other day that's exactly what was going to happen. It's one of those things where I think they didn't realize just how bad it was going to look until it happened. And they've been trying to do damage control ever since. But their way of doing damage control, instead of coming out and saying, hey, we really screwed this up, their version of damage control is to go out there and double down on it and to paint them as patriots and hostages and paint people like me and you as the commie. We're the communists because we pointed it out. It's like, I'll never understand this idea that we say, hey, he said he wants to be a dictator on day one. Well, you guys are stirring the pot. Well, he said he wants to terminate the Constitution whenever he sees fit. You guys are just stirring the pot. No, we're trying to let you know,
calling it out,
what it is that's happening. You have to call it out. And it's so funny to me how that they zeroed in on Biden over his bullseye comment.
Oh God!
Which, by the way, he made to a group. He made to a group of private.
Yeah.
That wasn't something the kid in Pennsylvania did not hear him say that.
Right.
but they pin Joe Biden down and they want to say, why did you use that word? Why did you use that terminology? And I'm like, have you guys not heard Trump rambling about Hannibal Lecter? I mean, ain't you heard the battery and the shark rhetoric? Are you ever going to, is Piers Morgan ever going to invite Trump on and just hammer the shit out of him and ask him why he's saying all this unhinged stuff? We're not the bad guys for pointing it out, folks.
Do you know why they don't go after Trump? Because he is a bully, right?
He
is. They realize that they can go after someone like a statesman like President Biden, and they can grill him on the tough questions because he's not going to assassinate him with a bunch of hyperbolic rhetoric and ad hominem attack. And that's basically the reason why I don't think journalists go after Trump, and I think they need to lean in. I think they really need to just go ahead and CNN was a disgrace on that debate. They could have fact checked real time and stopped it dead in its track at that moment. They could have made him the limelight of the lies, and it could have been a completely different dynamic. Sure, and a presidential debate is not a representation of the president's job. It's not how a president acts during his presidential day. They deliberate, they think slowly, they have a team. They don't have to have instantaneous recall on any one particular thing at any one particular time. It's just not how presidents work. And for that kind of optic and lens to be, put under the spotlight since I guess the first one was Nixon and Kennedy, am I wrong? I think the first presidential debate was that was live.
Yeah.
That to me, it just never really, it seems to me more like a popularity contest, and it kind of just, it devolves the level of the presidency, I suppose, because it's just, a cheering section of nothing really,
Yeah, it really is. And it's one of those things where, I know so many of my friends doesn't like watching presidential debates, and I totally understand why. I don't think it's an honest reflection of what a president has accomplished or not accomplished. It's just one of those moments where, okay, I mean, me and you can sit here and have a debate about something, and the audience could decide who won or lost. But let's say that you out debate me or I debate you. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to know how to do the job when we get in there.
Exactly.
That's two completely different things. But I do want to remind folks, for those that have just tuned in, me and Tom's been sitting here talking and having a good show. And if you've just tuned in, we got about 13 minutes to go. We usually go for an hour every Friday night, so we got a little time to go. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the description. We have the link in the bio in the description here, and we also have the link on Facebook if you guys are watching. Be sure to click on that, and you can get one of these sunflower Stand With Ukraine shirts that we're wearing here today. It would mean the world to me if you guys would go over and grab you one, because $10 from every shirt goes to help the children of Ukraine. And so again, Tom, man, I'm so glad that you made it here with me. We'll spend the last few minutes. If anyone has some questions for me and Tom, shoot them at us, and if I can catch them on time. I'm still learning the ropes of all this, man. I'm analog too, so I'm still learning the ropes of all this. But if you guys have any questions at all for me or Tom, shoot them up on the screen, and we'll just ride out the rest of the show. But we want to thank Jess for moderating tonight. I call my moderators bouncers.
The coolers.
Well, yeah, because I played music for so long, I used to back in the day, and when we had, well, back then we just called them drunks, but now they're trolls.
Yeah.
We used to have bouncers bounce out the disorderly drunk, and now we have moderators who kicks out bounce the trolls. Because here's the thing, I guess I've said this so many times when it comes to the trolls. I don't care if you come into the comment section to disagree with me. I don't care if you throw an insult at me. I don't really care. But when people wants to come in there and just make it about them and direct all, when I look down, if you're talking, Tom, and I'm over here looking at the comment section, and I'm seeing everyone talking to this one troll, then I realize everyone's paying attention to that one troll.
Right.
And that's not the reason why we're here. So to those people, I would say go create your own channel. start making your own channel. But yeah, we really appreciate it. Someone said trolls are drunks, Brando. So you're right. But yeah, if anyone has any questions for me or Tom before we go, as we're wrapping up here, I really appreciate you for coming on. And I just want to say, man, it's a great thing that you're doing, and I applaud you. For using all you guys platform for the greater good. That's what we wanted to do, and really glad to finally have you on here.
I really appreciate it, brother, man. And I got to say to your followers and fans, you got the real deal here with Tennessee Brando. So it's been an honor to get to know him. And within that website, you know, it has a lot of awesome information in there. It's not just, it's only one shirt. It's this shirt for a woman and for a man. It's got, you know, that's it. Black t-shirt, beautiful sunflower. But the information contained in there, there's clickable links. You can find out straight to the source about the City of Goodness, Rotary International. There's a link where you can go literally real-time map updates of the invasion. There is a link where you can go, it'll direct you straight to letters to lawmakers. So you can literally click the link and there's already letters that have been written by some friends and colleagues. You can learn how to write your own so that you can write the proper format to your congressman. I mean, the website is an exclusive website for Stand With Ukraine. There's no branding of mine involved. My brand isn't important. The only thing that's important is this design. So in the spirit of the syndicate of this design, in like the movie V is for Vendetta, we are Legion. And I would love to be able to show the people of Ukraine through this shirt, the symbol. So please, guys, take that link, make it your own. You can dock it wherever you want. And thank you. That's basically it. You know, the website is yours.
We appreciate you, Tom. And someone wants to know, Feather to Life wants to know, what is the total now? Where do we stand?
Ooh, let's see what's up. I don't know. It was, wow, we're up to 5,440. It's like $300 or close to $400 tonight.
That's awesome.
Okay. I mean, that's insane.
That is great.
That is insane.
It really is. It's awesome. We're glad that we was able to do that. And if you guys just tuned in, be sure to check out that link, and you can share this video. Once you know, live videos are finished on YouTube, it takes a minute to process, and then they're there to share and pass around. So this is one of those things that we can continue to share and pass around. Someone just commented, said they're buying one now, so we'll probably see the meter jump a little bit more before we get off. But yeah, you know, we want to thank everybody so much for tuning in and being here with us, and really appreciate everyone. And shout out to the Midas Touch Network and everyone who works alongside us. Be sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, comment button. Check out the memberships here on the channel. If you guys want to check those out, we have different tiers with different perks. So be sure to check those out as well, and be sure to check it out, this shirt. And here, I'm going to be brutally blunt. You know, I always try to be 100% real with my followers and shoot straight. So a lot of times I'll go out to watch music, I go out to see one of my favorite bands, and they'll have shirts. Okay. And I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but there are so many times that I have bought a shirt at a concert, came home, it was just itchy, scratchy, like pulling at the collar. It's like, and I'm like, damn, this is a really cool shirt, but man, I'm like, and it takes forever to break it in. And I just don't have time for that anymore. But I want to say, I'm not blowing smoke up Tom's ass here. I'm just being truthful. When he sent me this shirt, I was like, what am I going to get here? What's going to actually happen? What's going to actually happen when I get it? And folks, I promise you, it's Brando approved. It is comfortable. When we washed it, it didn't shrink up. I'm not sitting here tugging at my collar. I'm not itching.
Yes, man.
It's a comfortable shirt.
Real deal.
It's the real deal. So, you know, there's so many times I've bought shirts and been like, and I end up a lot of times. Sometimes I'll end up, when I go out to these shows and buy shirts or find some cool one in some rock store somewhere, I end up coming home and giving it to my kid because it shrinks up so bad that I'm like, here, take this shirt. But,
there's awesome artwork on those shirts, so do not get them. Don't throw them away. No matter how scratchy they are, you got to keep them and preserve them. Rock shirts are always good in my book, man.
They are. You got to preserve the artwork. You got to preserve the artwork for sure. But these things are. I just wanted people to understand, because I know there's going to be people asking, but are they comfortable? They look. No, folks, they're comfortable.
I've got my mom's got the tour shirt from 1982 from the Who. Okay. Awesome. She went to the Who tour. So that shirt is old. I mean, it's like, it's in a box. It's hermetically sealed. It's done.
That is awesome. that is really awesome, man. And yeah, I so appreciate you so much for being on here. We got a few more minutes. If anyone has any more questions for me or Tom before we go, throw them at us. I'll try to bring them up on the screen. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys so much for being here. And
we need to break bread in real life, brother, man. We need to meet soon.
We do, man. We're not that far apart.
Not at all.
We could make that happen. I ain't been to Florida, man. Honestly, it's probably been 10 years. I think 2015 or 14, somewhere through there is the last time I made it down to Daytona.
Well, I live in the only Mediterranean, well, it's basically the subtropic desert region from Sarasota south. We're the only subtropic desert region in the entire contiguous United States. So with a nice martini or a margarita, you will find wildlife that you've never seen anywhere else on the planet down here, or at least in the United States, I should say. So it's a beautiful tropic, you know, but, you know, all I can say is, man, we need to unite this country so that we don't have to worry about, for instance, when I go to the 7-Eleven for my morning cup of coffee and I see a truck pull up and it's just riddled with anti-Semitic and just hatred and the Trump flags, and it just makes me feel like I'm living in an Orwellian nightmare, and we got to wake up and we just got to crush the vote on November 5th. So that's it.
Absolutely. Lynn wants to know here, are the shirts all cotton?
Yes, they are 100% ring spun heirloom cotton. They're really super soft. Yes.
They truly are. I really appreciate it. And you know something, Tom, it's such a great point you make. I mean, I'm here in East Tennessee and I joke with people and tell them I'm in the buckle of the Bible Belt. But man, I see flags every day, and I see, you know, you go to the lake, it's just a big, you know, the flags are everywhere, and it's just such hateful rhetoric. You know, it's just such cruel rhetoric that I think there has to come a point in time where, you know, people gets tired of it. There has to come a point in time where people realizes that, you know what, there's no substance here. So that's my hope, is that as we move forward and Donald Trump fades off into the sunset, I really hope that people gets away from the cruelty and can come back to having reasonable conversations. And you know, because I just feel like that we've hit this point where, you know, when you got people flying a flag that says "fuck your feelings," and then they say to us that we're the ones that needs to turn the temperature down.
Right.
You know, we weren't the ones that cranked it up, and so I would much rather know that $10 off this shirt went to help the children of Ukraine, as to know that it went to help put a golden sink in Mar-a-Lago. You know, so
you know, I mean, on that note, and to any MAG out there, just understand this: you are supporting a small business that's giving about almost 70% of the entire revenue of that product away. Okay, I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this because I'm passionate about my industry. But that I have an actual mechanism that I can just plug in my business model with the design that I created and give money away for something like this. Yeah. Who wouldn't? If you were in my shoes, you'd do the same thing, I'd hope. I really do.
Exactly.
You know? So thank you guys. It's up to you.
Man. And thank you for being here. We got a few more minutes, and we've still, I think the meter bar just jumped up to, all right, we're at 54. Let's see, 54, 470. So we've jumped.
Yeah,
since the last
3 more shirts right there.
There we go. So
I mean, think about the exchange rate, by the way. For a $10 bill, it's probably worth maybe $20 over there. You know. Yeah. So I mean, we can do some serious good for these people, and I am just honored for you guys to make a legion out of this image. Okay. Yeah.
And something too, folks, I want to remind you, like I said, you can share this video after the fact. You can also share the link. So be sure to pass that link around to your friends and let them know what it's about, and let them, you know everything that's to do with it. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied. I was still watching the meter and getting distracted. But but no, you know, when you see Trump stand up and sell a Bible, and you see him sell a pair of sneakers, and you see, you know, Laura Trump, you know, selling off pets at an auction and all this just ridiculous stuff. I mean, they have done so many, and hell, he's grifting off of his assassination attempt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of time before. Yeah. So if people out there can donate their money to that madness, then I think we can stand for a good cause and stand for a good thing. And
good Lord, that could not.
I would much rather be on this side of history. I say this all the time when people says, Brando, what's the silver lining in the cloud? Well, the silver lining in the cloud would have to be that regardless of what happens, we're on the right side of history. And I really believe that. I truly do. I believe we're going to be on the right side of history in this one. And I hope there's still history books.
Brando,
that's why I think it's so important to vote.
Do you think that Trump is going to fade away, or do you think we're going to have to crush the vote so decisively in November that we absolutely stamp out the notion that type of ideology even has a place in here? In other words, silence them silence them with
I think
overwhelming numbers.
I think it has to be overwhelming numbers. I think it has to be a blowout, and that's why I was saying earlier that everybody needs to unify and stand behind Joe Biden at this point.
Damn straight.
We do need that blowout, but one way or the other, I think eventually he may fade away. But there's still the people, the architects behind Project 2025, and I don't think they're just going to go silently. I don't necessarily think they're just going to be like, "Well, you guys got us," and go away.
Yeah, no.
I think they'll continue to try to be around. So that's why we just have to keep pushing and keep doing our thing. But one more time before we go, we've made it up to 5,490, so we gained another. And
you guys folks, are awesome, man.
I really appreciate everyone for tuning in.
Awesome, man.
Thank you,
this
Tom.
is why I love technology as an analog guy. I'm looking at this, looking at you guys, and I'm like, this is happening in real time. So to all the followers of Tennessee Brando, this is Team Tennessee Brando right here, guys. Thank you. You guys are just amazing.
We really appreciate you. We really appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. And Tom, one more time, Tom, truly thanks for joining me. We'll be pulling for you. We'll keep sharing the link. We'll keep pushing it out there. And we'll have you back. We'll do it again sometime. We'll talk more about it. So, again, man, thank you for being on, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you guys so very much. It's been an honor. Thank you. Slava Ukraine. Yuriam Slava.
Great. Thank you. And, folks, be sure to go check out the link if you haven't already. Go over to the link that's in the bio or the description here on YouTube, and it's also in the description on Facebook, wherever it is you're watching. Be sure to click on it, get yourself a shirt, and support a good cause because we do have to stand on the side of democracy now more than ever. Like I've said before, we can disagree on certain things. If you want to have the disagreement about pineapple on a pizza, we'll talk about that. If you want to have the argument and tell me that democracy doesn't matter and we need to get rid of that, we're gonna have an argument. And I can't be on the both sides of that one. If you say to me that you're cool with a dictator, I can't both sides that one with you. So again, I want to thank everyone so much for tuning in. And thank you so much to Tom from Dagger Custom Apparel. You guys go over and check out that link. Share it with your family, share it with your friends, get everyone a shirt, and let's just keep pushing forward for the greater good. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Tennessee Brando, and I'll see you again next week.